Welcome to Gravers Lane Gallery. We're so happy you're here. We want to get to know each one of you, so I'm going to point out our team members here, and please don't be shy. Ask about the artwork. Come and just say hi. Let us know who you are. We're a great community here. So let's see. Let's raise our hands. Bruce Hoffman had to leave. Unfortunately, he wasn't feeling well. Ken Goldenberg is here with his wife, Dorothée. They're the owners of the gallery, very importantly. I'm the director of the gallery, Chloe. Kate is here pouring wine. Mia's here. And Ryan and David are somewhere over there. Ryan's over there. So that's the team. We are very excited. We have two shows to talk about tonight. And Debora Muhl is here, who makes the really beautiful baskets in the two-part Inventions show. So Gravers Lane Gallery is dedicated to contemporary craft. We want to introduce you to new artists. We want to educate people on what craft is, and we also want to discover what it is and what it can be, because it has so many forms, and it's a really interesting kind of niche thing in the art world. We also have a newsletter, so make sure you sign up for our newsletter. And I wanted to highlight that November is a really special month for craft in Philadelphia. The PMA has the craft show every year, and Craft Now always has November as Craft Month. So we're really excited to be part of that in Philadelphia. And Philadelphia is a great city for craft in general. This year I calculated, and we had a really ambitious year. We have had, this is our 10th First Friday, and it's our 13th exhibition this year. And there's 3 more great things to come, and I have little postcards. So our next show will be Design to Dwell, so it's a little new adventure for Gravers Lane Gallery. It's going to be lighting, fine art, and furniture. So we've never really done that fully with invited artists, new artists. We have all the holiday gifting you could ever want to do at Gravers Lane Gallery. Beautiful mugs and scarves and dishes and bowls and jewelry. So come and get your gifts here. We have a 20% off all of Black Friday weekend. So you might want to not miss that. And November 5th, we have our very special Barbara Heinrich coming for a trunk show. And she's taking private appointments, and you can get old jewelry remade into something new or see all of the wonderful things she can bring. So if you have questions about any of those, come find us after the talk. So now into the important stuff, really, the exhibitions here we wanted to talk about. I'll just mention Calliope is still on view. Calliope is an exhibition of art jewelry by Lisa and Scott Cylinder. And they're a really special couple. They went to Tyler School of Art, and they started a jewelry kind of production company for many, many years. They moved to Maine, and they're very close friends with Bruce Hoffman. And Bruce said, I'd love to really showcase your work because you're amazing craftspeople. You have amazing ideas, but I want you to hit it out of the ballpark, do something you've never been brave enough to do. And they really did this amazing body of work that they worked on for several years together as a couple. And they use instrument parts in their work, and they've made sure each piece is an art object and a brooch and a necklace all in one. The craftsmanship is exquisite, especially because they're using many different kinds of materials that they're melding together, which as a craftsperson, if you're a fiber artist, you know your sweetgrass really well. Or if you're a ceramic artist, you know your clay really well. But to use 5, 10 materials and blend them together seamlessly is really truly a feat. So it's a very special show. There's Greek myth involved, there's circus involved, and lots of animals. So if you have questions about that, let me know. And then on to this amazing collaboration we've had. So this exhibition, there's works in this room and obviously the exhibition room. Two-part Inventions, the works of Debora Muhl, who's sitting by my side here, and Barbara Lee Smith, who unfortunately had a health issue and she couldn't make it tonight, but she'll come in November to speak. One of the joys of curating is bringing together artists who don't know each other, and they actually might not even know each other's work, and discovering the surprising connections in their life stories, their interests, their work that always appear. And we discovered, among many things, that there is a love for music, and actually especially classical music, that came to being with the basketry and the wall works here. So I'm sure that the artists will talk about it in a minute. When I was prepping the show for many months and working with the artist, I was actually really humbled by Deborah and Barbara's perseverance in the face of physical and emotional challenges that have actually arisen over the past recent months, and their determination and positive spirits has really inspired me. Despite their setbacks, they have managed to put together an exquisite body of new work, and that you see displayed to here, and combined, I think the combination offers a new layer of meaning, and to have them have done that all on time despite all the setbacks they had was really truly amazing and inspiring. As Smith said, and I'd like to quote Barbara here, so she has a favorite Leonard Bernstein quote, and it's this: "There's a crack in everything. That's how light gets in." And then Barbara says, "Light, that does it for me. I feel that my work has succeeded when it throws some light your way. And in the darkest of times, light can reveal a memory, offer hope, bring a moment of engagement, encouragement, and healing." So I'm going to talk a little bit about Barbara, and she actually really generously recorded a little talk. So we're going to play her voice in a minute because she can't be here tonight. So Barbara Lee Smith, this is her second show with us. We're really happy to bring her back here to Gravers Lane Gallery. She's an internationally known, recognized textile artist, educator, and author. She has had 30 solo shows across the world, and she's in major collections. So we're really lucky to have her work so close up and personal here in Chestnut Hill. I'm not going to speak too much about her because we're going to just see what she has to say. So I'm sorry she's not here. You might want to just look at her artwork while she's talking. That might be fun. Yes. I'm sorry, I just need to find my file. There we go. Okay.
Welcome to Two-Part Inventions. My thanks to Debora Muhl and the wonderful crew here at Gravers Lane Gallery. Thank you for allowing me to say a few words from a distance. I started studying the piano when I was 3. When I had to memorize a piece, it was called playing by heart. I rarely play the piano now, but I often work with music, if not on my phone, then just inside my head. I play by heart still, but with paint, collage, and stitch. A quick course in my process may help here. I start with plain white industrial interfacing material. In its finer, usually gray form, you can find it at a hardware store to use as ground cover. The weight I use often backs rugs or airline upholstery. It looks like fragile Japanese rice paper, but it's actually tough as nails. I paint, collage, and draw with the sewing machine to make each work. The fabric laps up acrylic paint and responds to either scissors or a heat gun to become small bits or lace-like pieces. I back the work with an iron-on material that allows me to, for all intents and purposes, glue one piece to another with heat. That's the collage part of the work. By the time I've fused layers together, it transforms from a filmy fabric into a leather-like tough surface. Over the years, I've saved every small bit and piece that was painted, cut, melted, and not used. I have thousands of pieces that form my palette. I rely on what came before to form what is now. That's probably a sign of age, and that's fine with me. These are what I use to compose, and during that time, I need silence, no music involved. The final drawing is the machine stitch that literally and visually draws the work together. I use an industrial machine that allows me complete freedom to move the fabric in all directions, and I stitch on the reverse side of the work, the all-white side, the back, that allows me to draw line upon line, only referring to the front of the work on occasion. This inspires wonderful accidents and keeps me from a coloring book approach. That's the physical process of materials and making, but it's ideas and thoughts behind the work that keep me returning to the studio. I've been working for well over 50 years now, and memories and reminders abound. Like a spiral, ideas and images move around, coming together in a new form, sparking my work. I try not to repeat my thoughts, but allow them to grow and morph into new directions and new approaches. Here, you'll see that sea, nature, land and sky, place, all are important to me. I grew up in Cape May by the ocean and have lived on both coasts, loving every breath of salt air. I've also spent a lot of my life in cities, and that's where I am now in downtown Durham, North Carolina. I love urban energy, grit, reflected light. I love the old parts of town and live on the historic American Tobacco campus, where old lofts have been magically transformed into great places to live and work. Textures grab me. I'm fascinated by peeling paint, old boats up on cradles with hulls roughly sanded, dead flowers and leaves blown into colorful abstractions. Maps have always inspired me, and I miss those big paper ones that give you the whole picture, unlike the Siri variety that keeps me company going block to block. The drawing, the stitching that holds the work together is like a topographical map to me, measuring and determining the flow within the work. I want my work to engage you, to bring you back to see something new each time. I want it to provide moments of contemplation in our ever so complicated world. I hope it heals. I think that in these strange times, I've found a way to pick up the pieces and keep on keeping on. One more thought. I said that I work in silence when I'm composing. The background, usually white these days, is pinned to the wall, and a random pile of pieces of various sizes sit on my studio table along with scissors and pins. I select a piece or two and pin it to the wall. I back up across the room to see what it does. It's like a stroke of color to me. If I think it works, and that's a tough word to explain, I'll find another piece or two to relate to it, and then I'm off and running. Select, pin, observe, unpin, or leave it, more and more until it feels as if one more piece may be just too much. Then I let it rest. The work and I need to get some distance. I'll return, edit, always approaching and backing up as I work. I think of it as a dance of creation. Now, what fascinates me is to observe the way someone interacts with my work when it's in a public space. If they are drawn to the work, and I hope that's a good thing, they will approach it, then back up to see it at a distance and return. It's like they echo the way I've made the work, and that makes me very happy indeed. Thank you so much for being here, and if you can return for the closing reception on November 7, I hope we can meet in person.
Thank you, Barbara. That's great. Wow. So I want to introduce Deborah, who's actually made it here to dance tonight. And she can talk about herself much better than I can talk about her, but it's been a pleasure working with you. I got the privilege of visiting her home and her studio, and that was a wild adventure, overwhelming because there is so much work in there from so many iterations of things she's tried and done and wants to do. So that's very exciting. I want to note here one of the most important, fascinating things that I think is that she is a self-taught artist. So she learned all of these techniques by teaching herself and practicing. And basketry is such a labor of love, and it's so intensely labor-intensive. And so I think that's all I always say. But I would like to say she's also held in the permanent collections of the Mint Museum, the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, the Fuller Craft Museum, the Musée des Arts Décoratifs in Paris, and the Racine Art Museum, amongst others. So that's no small feat and accomplishment. So go ahead, Barbara. Sorry, Deborah.
Thank you very much. Thank you for staying for the talk. I have to have notes because I didn't want to jump ahead of myself. Like Barbara, music has always been part of my life. My statement for my work is, music was my first passion. It gave me a vehicle for expressing deep feelings and taught me the necessity of bringing discipline and clarity to the vision of my work. Sculptural coiling allows me to create a kind of visual metaphor for the music of my life. I studied classical music, played the clarinet, the oboe, then piano, thinking that I might someday be the first oboist in the Philadelphia Orchestra. But those oboe reeds certainly didn't work out and turned eventually into basket reed, and the rest is history, as they say. I made my first basket in 1984 from a melon basket kit. I remember that day that I opened the first kit. Our daughter was 5 at musical kindergarten, because of course she was going to be the next oboist in the Philadelphia Orchestra. And my son was 2, and he was napping for the afternoon. That $10 kit led me to a year of making over 50 melon baskets, many different sizes, many different colors. And this would be a huge gift idea for a large family that I married into, because I came from a large family, and it allowed me to fill baskets with cookies, baskets with baby gifts, and so on. And it was a wonderful, unique kind of gift to give. After a year of stockpiling these baskets, my girlfriend came to the door and said, "Do you know, Deb, there's other types of baskets, other styles. There's market baskets." I was making melon baskets. There are egg baskets, there's market baskets, there's backpack baskets, she was listing everything. So she said, "I'm going home and I'm going to call my teacher friends, and we're going to come over, and I want you to teach us melon baskets." And I had no teaching experience. I had no idea what I was doing. But she came with 4 of her friends, and I successfully had them complete an 8-inch melon basket, and they all went home dancing. From there on, I taught from 1987 to 1997, rattan baskets, gourd preparation work, and then some coiling. I then began traveling to teach. All the while I was going to local craft shows, and eventually was accepted into the finest craft shows in the country. My rule was to keep separate what I taught from what I was teaching in my classes. What I learned in hindsight is that thousands of baskets that I made over these years helped me to polish my technique, and coiling, which was my favorite, allowed me to satisfy my love of pottery. But something that I dearly wanted to be successful at, the pottery, for some reason, the pottery wheel never became my friend. In the 1990s, I was able to give up teaching and concentrate on work and travel to shows. That time was essential for the growth of my confidence, and I started to break all the rules of traditional coiling. I no longer made it symmetrical, functional baskets, and I started to take the coil and wrap it with various ribbons and fabric, and found that I could now make sculpture out of something that was very almost like breaking rules in everything I did. Each piece started with an idea, but all of my work is designed and processed. I never know where they're going to finish, a very enticing way to work. Thus, I have many pieces in my studio that surround me, which starts in process or almost finished. That simply keeps me moving forward. There are many aha moments to keep my curiosity piqued to work. Challenges in the purchasing of sweetgrass continue to be difficult. It all comes from Native American tribes. This is my favorite material because it has a history and a sacred value to the Native Americans, and to coil with it is a gift. And it also has something that surprised me when I was first introduced to the material. The scent will last for a lifetime. The addition of Harry Lauder's walking stick branches along the way created an electricity that I feel shows off some of my work to have more movement and lifts this work off to the table or wall or wherever it might be displayed. Unfortunately, these branches are contorted hazelnut, suffered a blight in the Northeast about 15 years ago, and I will soon have to look for a replacement material. I grew these along with family members who had shrubs and were willing to share their trimmings with me in the past. The newest addition to my work has been abalone shells as bases for my coiled pieces. These are also difficult to find, and it seems I am drawn to all impossible materials. To close, I have been very fortunate to find a unique niche in my unique style of work, and I hope to continue wherever that might lead me. Thank you.